Hello, stream.
Good evening.
One of us has set a new location.
Sucks.
Yep.
Don't it always?
And last of Button's storytelling game for a minute. But she'll be back.
Of course.
With a new cast. Same people, new characters.
It'll be something.
Dealing with the mess we've left ourselves.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Hello, Kraken. And Potate Cat.
Yes, indeed.
Gremlin Dog is sleeping, or I'd show him on camera too, because I don't think Kraken has seen him. Hey, Jellybean. Jelly. Too bad he's gonna wake up. Jelly.
It's not nice.
Gonna bother the old man.
Oh, he's getting pets and touching, and he loves it. He's so ugly.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
That's Jellybean. He tiny.
We like ugly animals here. Well, some of us do.
I had to give him a haircut. Just a little bit so he could see.
Yeah, bald cat's not going to be with us because I am not at home, obviously.
Nosferatu is with us in spirit.
He's just hiding. He's obfuscated. He rolled a 15.
Oh. No, he didn't.
Snuck in on your luggage.
Did any of them try to pack themselves?
No, actually. Which is good because, well, Sage would probably be the only one that won't want to, and she's way too big.
Ah.
He's apparently giving my wife all sorts of grief about me not being there right now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Keeping a good eye on her, I hope.
I think so.
Don't need no cat toys swallowed again.
No infections from stomach wounds.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. That would be bad, but swallowing something like a cat toy would probably be worse right now.
Yeah. But we've effectively thrown all of them out that she can actually eat, so.
Good luck with that.
I mean, for now, she's not big enough to eat the entire foods. Yeah.
She puts her mind to it?
Now, it doesn't quite fit all the way in her mouth.
Oh. You'll just end up swallowing one of your small dogs.
As long as Waffle doesn't care.
Do we want to start or figure things out how this is going to go?
It's wing it.
I mean, it's not like we have many discussions about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Let me start us off. Oh, I need to... I need to remember to change and get rid of Cocia's thing because Cocia is no longer with us. Hey, we're here.
We are indeed. Well, with that out of the way, welcome everyone to the epilogue episode of Midnight on the Circle. Tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different, but before we get into that, let's go ahead and go through the usual. This is the world of darkness. Dark things will be discussed. If something comes up that brings up an issue for you, whether it's mental health, physical health, emotional, spiritual, so on and so forth, please take the time to take care of yourself, step away. You're always welcome to come back. And if you can't, we do recaps of previous episodes, which we will get to in just a moment. Tonight we are going to be essentially running sort of like a DM-less game. So we're all just going to essentially have a fun night of socializing after the events of Indy. So with that said, tonight I have with me Dengle playing Rufus.
I am here, yes.
I have Nen playing William.
Hello.
I have Faye playing Tory.
Hello.
And I am Buttons, temporarily storytelling, but eventually I will be transitioning into playing Uriel.
And I think the rest of the storytelling, what's needed is going to kind of just be bounced around when it comes up.
Yep. We're just going to kind of round robin it tonight and see how it goes.
Except Nenavar, apparently.
Join us.
I'll throw it out. He won't catch it, but I'll throw it out.
He can't catch it. He has his arms full of potato cat.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
So before we dive into tonight's shenanigans, who wants to recap what happened last time?
Fire!
I say we, a couple of us actually had a plan.
We did.
And
it kind of worked.
yeah, it worked a lot better than most of our other plans that we sort of have.
Look, we have the level-headed kindred working on this plan tonight. This is what happens when these three do things. I don't know which way I'm gesturing. This way. When us three do things. I don't know about William. He's kind of a shit stirrer.
Yes, but
Only sometimes.
he was actually pretty helpful.
He was.
So William gets extra
Extra kudos?
Yeah. But yes, we went and investigated a warehouse, talked to a guard, made him go on like a 3-hour lunch to come back to the warehouse burning down. But it's fun. Talked to Haley for a second. There was a touchstone place.
Yeah. In a diablerie.
There was a gargoyle. We froze them solid.
With some special tablets that were won in an auction.
Yes. That I think that everybody forgot about, except for me.
I honestly thought Nen forgot about them, I'm not gonna lie. You've got what? Two more?
One more.
One more. For everyone curious, it's actually, I believe it was a V20 thing that Tremere made them. Technically, the original ones were wax and it kind of encased and then burned them, but I added ice ones because it sounded cool. Both fire and ice ones showed up. They won the ice ones.
Yes, after the whole Diablo and gargoyle thing, we lit the warehouse on fire by firing a Rufus pistol into the dusty machinery room. And there was a raven that turned into a person that turned back into a raven, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure that's nothing.
Oh, to clarify, the fire and ice things are actually like wax seals that Tremere made in V20. Sorry. It's really interesting. I'll see if I can find a link and post it in our Discord later. I thought they was cool.
Certainly came in handy against a
but
stone creature.
No one got it.
Oh, I kind of.
Tactfully ignoring, I see.
Yes. But then we vacated the premises because we don't want to deal with our own actions, basically.
We're kindred. We don't need to.
Yeah, a couple of us are a lot older than we actually look.
Yeah.
But a couple of us are as old as we actually look, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of got us up to speed to this point, I think.
I think so.
All right. We ready to dive into tonight then?
Oh, I mean, we did leave off on everyone traveling out of the city. Tori took the car from Beth. Beth took Tori's motorcycle back to Atlanta. Sorry, that was it.
All good. All right, we ready to see what shenanigans Tori gets up to in Detroit?
Yes.
Sure. Well, Tori would probably be behind Rufus, so whatever Rufus would like to do.
So first things first, when he returns back to the city, I would just get a hold of Boria and Maria. Like, hey, who got some money to cover?
Boria would message back. Or are you texting or calling?
I feel like this would be a call moment.
Boria would call you back. What do you mean?
A business associate had inquired about a couple things. I have sent them, well, preferred them to add it for Brew. However, I feel like it'll probably be delegated to either you or Maria.
What do they want?
Dengel's fog brain doesn't really remember exactly the conversation. But
She needs to talk to Kat. Or things.
let's say, right?
Well, to meet the Brodovich.
So basically, relay something to the effect of that. Or yeah,
Or you would go quiet quiet for a minute. That will be an interesting conversation. Why does she need to know about them?
Recently lost a four-legged friend that she is looking to get another one, I believe.
I see. Well, that will be up to Katarzyna to decide.
Just figured, given the million proximities, we could aim to send her to your neck of the woods, as it were. Yours, Lizzie.
Good to know.
Yours.
I will make sure Katarzyna will be able to take guests.
Thank you.
Of course. And then he'll hang up.
So then dropping him off and head back home.
Okay. So Tori would probably be, I don't know, half a night behind, maybe a full night. She might stop to settle her mind a little bit. She's not in a good place. Just kind of come to terms with the choice she had to make, which brought her ever closer to her beast. In a not good way. But she would eventually message Rufus that she is in the city, heading to the address he gave her. And I will not be talking to myself for a while. So that conversation will be had off screen. But it will be had. So I don't know if you guys want to do stuff in the meantime.
You would receive if you feel like stopping in, this is where I will be, and also give a nice to screen.
Good to know. Thank you.
So, Rufus does arrive back to school in the city of Vaughn. He would get a hold of Yuri and Zep, actually, as well. Rufus has some housekeeping things that he has to take care of as well, but unless we want to do that right now, I'm going to allow you two to jump in as well.
Up to you.
I think he was leaving that decision to you.
Yep. Yeah, Yuri would probably be at work, but they would definitely stop and check their phone. I'm sure they have a specific ringtone for Rufus at this point.
What is it?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll think of it.
The Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Here we go again.
Yeah, maybe.
Black Parade.
I mean, all of the above at that point.
So what kind of a message would Uriel get?
Just that I'm back. I will be at the school doing cleanup efforts.
Oh, good. Do you need any help?
I could use extra set of hands. I also may or may not have a visitor that you would probably find quite interesting.
Oh, thank you. I'll be over there. Give me about 20 minutes to wrap up.
Something tells me they might be a little bit more than 20 minutes.
Don't jinx me like this. It's been rough.
That bad.
Politics are always that bad. Bless you, by the way.
Yes, bless you.
Be right back. It's still here.
Okay. So
you're... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say you'll finish up whatever they happen to be working on and make their way out towards the school.
I don't know what he would have sent Zepp, so Zeps can wait, I guess. Unless you want to go and do something.
I assume it's probably roughly around the same thing, but Zep would say that he's helping next with some stuff, and he should be available tomorrow or whenever next game's happening.
Yeah, we'll do a game. Don't worry. So kind of the gist of Tori's conversation would really just be her talking to Kat and finding the location of the Brodovich commune? Would it be a commune at that point?
I honestly don't know.
Sure, let's go with it. Let's go with it. There might have been some anger on Kat's end until some revelations were made.
Yeah.
From about a certain sire.
Yeah, I figure it's you guys can have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just killing time while you were away.
Yeah. In the meantime, while he's waiting for Yuri and whoever else is going to show up at school, he would also try to get a hold of Spike. Just do a quick, everything okay?
You would fairly quickly receive back a gift that is just still alive.
Are you okay to talk yet?
I guess. What do you need?
I'll be by later.
Great.
Just want to check him.
Sure.
Reach out to all of his little ravens, I guess, is the correct version of it. Just make sure that everybody's okay in that aspect as well.
Yeah, so Kate and Ryan would get back to you pretty quickly. Damien would eventually send you, yeah, I'm still kicking. Where the hell have you, or you've been gone a couple of days. The hell did you get up to?
Burning down a warehouse.
Wow. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that.
It was for a good cause.
That's your second one, isn't it?
No, the one before that I didn't do. I just coordinated.
You did it, though.
It needed to be done. Both of them needed.
So, yes. 2. In a week's time frame.
Yes, but the second one was Camarilla, so who cares?
Yeah, they don't sound too great.
If you feel like checking in person, I'm back. I'm available. I'll have things to do later, but for now, I'm where you can find me.
Probably won't. Thanks anyway.
Figured as much. Stay safe.
Sure. And then Kate and Ryan's just kind of are a quick check-in too, letting you know the couple of things that have gone on and all of that.
Yeah, that's all of Rufus's housekeeping things for now.
Ariel and William or Zepp, anything you guys want to do?
Making my way over.
I believe I was continuing William this game, so he'll be making his way to his haven and to grab that final tablet. And we can bring it to the school with him.
Okay. Oh, he only took one with him?
Yes. I just kind of assume that they're somewhat large and probably can only fit one in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume they're, like, slightly larger than $half size. I don't know their actual size, but yeah, slightly larger than $half is what we're going with. And probably twice as heavy. It's a lot of stuff packed into a little space. Yeah, you guys get there in a timely fashion.
Well, I see you made it back in one piece.
Yes. It was quite the adventure.
How so?
I hate Camarilla.
I assumed that was a given, yes.
I burned down one of their warehouses. It was a very fun time.
Why do you always get to do the fun stuff without me? I could have used a little arson after the week I've had.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunity.
I meant it as a joke, but now I'm concerned.
Oh, I am only partially joking, and he'll actually pull out the Rufus pistol and place it down.
What is that?
This is a hunter pistol. It shoots at full fire.
And you got it how?
So doing dirty jobs.
I don't think I like that answer.
If I told you the true answer, you would like it even less. So just leave it at that.
Okay.
So politics. Have you will have they figured out the pecking order again?
Let's see. Detroit Storyteller, they'd probably still be fighting over it at this point, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I thought. No, I'm trying to stay out of it as much as I can. I don't need that right now. They're still fighting.
In the most Tremere way possible.
Very passive aggressively.
So stay away from the DIA for foreseeable future as well.
Yes, very much so.
Any word from the casino?
No. They've
Radio
gone
silence. Actually,
pretty quiet.
The casino would have been closed, like closed, for a couple of days now. Unheard of.
Yeah, they were actually closed for most of while you were gone.
Wonderful.
Definitely anonymous.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well. By the way, it's good to see you up and about, William. You feeling any better?
Somewhat, yeah.
So, what is this you had in mind for me this evening?
Oh, just introductions to be made. When they get here, they'll still grow actually.
Gangrel.
Yes, but he is not at all typical.
A gangrel that's not a gangrel?
Is and is not at the same time. Yes.
Interesting. Did they follow you up from Indianapolis?
They're the ones that actually do need it.
Ah.
I owed a little bit of a favor.
Well then.
The favor that I owed apparently wasn't what they were hoping for payment, but it's okay. Productive nonetheless.
So some time has passed and all of that. You get a message from Tori, actually, saying, I didn't realize she was so old.
Oh, yes.
Terrifying.
It's very good for age, though.
Yeah, sure.
Wait until you hear about her friend.
Friend. Okay. I'll be on my way soon.
I have somebody here that I would like you to meet.
Okay.
So, yeah. This one's decent.
Premier.
If I trust them, you can trust them. Mostly harmless, however.
You don't trust, though. So, sorry if I take that with a grain of salt.
Get some pepper in there, too. But yes.
Mm.
I trust them not to immediately turn me in for whatever I've done.
Sure. Anything I need to grab or prepare for?
I think you're more than prepared for anything that you might encounter here.
Okay. And then silence.
He's on his way. So, and William, he's on his way. So, had a meeting with everyone's favorite grandmother.
I still have so many questions about that.
Ask away. I'll answer what I can, and what I can't, I'll be as honest with you as I can be.
What happened? That night during the Sabbat incursion, the ground it just opened up. What was that?
Well, so as you know what she can do, I believe I can actually talk about now. So she is converted sorcerer. The white was her child, and I don't know exactly where it is now, but I know where it was. You don't want to ever get close to it again.
Give me intelligence and occult buttons.
Sure.
That child is white?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
Yes, that was part of the whole issue that we took care of.
I'm actually going to burn a willpower to re-roll that.
Sure.
5.
You would have heard of them. Like, enough that, you know, they're pretty rare.
That's powerful stuff. I've only heard rumors about them.
Yes, that's one of those things that we should probably let stay where it stays.
I don't want the ground to eat me.
Right.
And this friend of yours went to talk to her.
Yes.
Braver soul than I. I'll give them that.
There was this one I'm not at liberty to fully discuss.
I've learned. I'm not going to go poking. Nope.
I mean, you can absolutely ask. They might be willing to tell you what the draw is. They also might get mad and sit down. So take chances at doing it.
I've been on the wrong end of that too many times. I don't want to do it again. I'm good.
Where are you guys in the school?
I assume we're still at school.
What?
Wait, what was your question?
I was asking where everyone was in the school.
Oh, okay.
Probably the auditorium.
During your conversation, there you'd be getting a call. I'm here. Where are you? And can I come in?
Door. Just come in the back door. You're more than welcome.
All right, I'll be there in a minute. Click.
Good there. Here.
And after a couple of minutes, in comes Tori.
Yeah, I believe you know William. Uriel is Tori. Tori is Uriel.
The Tremere.
Yes. The one that is mostly published.
Mm-hmm. Do you know anyone named Gregor?
Who?
Are you lying?
No.
No, I'm asking you, Buttons.
No, I don't. I genuinely do not think. I cannot see a reason why Uriel would know Gregor.
I think that's a Dengle thing.
Yeah, I don't realistically see a reason why they would know each other. As discussed earlier, Gregor would not stoop so low as to go to Detroit.
Sure. Tori rolled a 2 on that inside check.
I'm sure that's fine. I'm sure that would be fine.
Tori would give Uriel a hard look up and down, and she is so bad looking right now. What was it? Kindred tend to flinch away at others that to humanity. Like, there is something viscerally wrong with them.
Yeah, I imagine Uriel's kind of like stiff postured and slightly leaning away from Tori at this point and shooting very concerned looks at Rufus.
Oh, it's fine.
You've said that about a lot of things, and a lot of things have not gone very fine.
Have you died yet?
Technically, yes.
Okay, have you died more than twice?
No.
Then you're fine.
Don't you mean more than once?
Okay.
And what is that supposed to mean?
Face transplant. That's what it's. It's okay. We still have Uriel. Art restoration. Historian?
Essentially, yes. Yeah, I do art restoration.
You seem uncomfortable.
You have a very threatening presence. And I have been blasted by people wanting to either screw with me or devour me for the better part of a week. So, yeah, between that and the Tremere politics, I'm a little on edge.
Are you with the pyramid?
It'd probably be easier for me if I was, but no.
What Tremere politics do you have to deal with if you're not part of it?
Again, it's complicated, but
We're kindred, of course it's complicated.
there aren't many independent Tremere around here, so they like to keep tabs on the few of us that are. So
Are you independent
we get
then?
the backlash. Officially, yes.
Even though the pyramid is watching over you, gauging what you do, knowing what you do, where you are, everything about it. How is that being independent?
I understand there are debts owed.
I don't really care. It's not my place. I just need to know that Tremere aren't going to come down on me.
No, they're too busy up their own asses.
That seems like a theme for this week, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Don't suppose you know anyone by the name of Haley, do you?
No.
Good.
Do they have something to do with the Gregor person you asked about?
Yes. I don't know the full connection, but yes. Just need to make sure.
Don't know Haley.
Good.
Not so much of a problem anymore. They've been taken care of.
Permanently.
Uriel takes a step back at that.
Oh, it's clever. It's they hurt somebody close.
And I
That's
don't
all.
let that stand.
I assure you, you're probably not any more danger than being with me.
What's that?
To Yuri, I assure you, you're probably not in any more danger than normally being with me.
What did you tell them? Her?
Them. It's
Them.
fine. Thank you.
Two?
Just that we burned down a warehouse. And that I owed you something. It has been paid. You forget certain people know when to stop talking.
Well, you certainly made everything very clear to everybody when we met up. So, forgive me for wondering.
To be fair, it was your other person that started that conversation.
Yes, I know. We've had that talk many times.
For clarity's sake, can have a bit of a temper when she's hungry.
I am gangrel enough that affects me. Yes.
That's the gangrel, but not.
I don't care for my clan. I was embraced during the peak of the Sabbat takeover of Atlanta.
Oh.
We have broken those ways.
Yes.
So,
I am not Sabbat. I don't associate with them anymore. I have gone through great lengths to not be associated with them.
Well, I guess it's a good thing you weren't here last week then.
Oh no, we had our own issues to deal with. I had to burn down a prison.
Nope, I know better than to ask questions. Nope.
They decided to mass embrace in a prison. And not many of them were good to come out of that. As I'm sure you can imagine.
So, I actually did have to have a couple things that I wanted to talk to you about, Tori. You had mentioned something to the effect of being able to manufacture a beverage.
Yes. I need some alcohol and some blood. Fresh. Or at least a thin blood that can make it fresh if there's only bags.
Okay. How does it transport?
It can last, well, depends on several factors, but between a day to a week or so. There's ways to continue it, but you're sure this isn't going to get back to the Tremere?
Okay. Yeah.
I know blood sorcery.
Oh.
Which is why I figured you would probably get a little bit of interest.
I must admit I am very interested.
I can make alcoholic blood that we can drink and feel the effects of, among other things.
So, William.
Yes.
Seeing as we have a bit of a opening at the hotel, do you think that this would be something that Charlotte would potentially find enticing?
Given the fact that she pretty much models her whole thing after a speakeasy, probably.
That's what I thought as well. So, the proposition that I have, if you're willing to do so, is if we can supply you with a steady stream of fresh blood or alcohol or both, and get somebody that will do weekly runs, would you potentially be willing to manufacture and send some?
It's fairly both labor intensive and resource intensive on our end, but if you can provide them, then yes, I will do it.
Charlotte has quite a bit of money, and I believe has some ties to abilities to get blood dolls. I don't know that 100%. I also haven't asked, and I'm not going to because it's just not my place to ask. But she runs a speakeasy of sorts that, up until recently, had the ability to order certain residences.
I haven't done much with that. Both most of my coterie and the ways I am able to get the blood involve a thin blood transforming bagged blood into fresh, which doesn't have any resonances or anything like that. I might be able to do more with that with a blood doll, but I'm not actually sure because I haven't used much fresh blood in making this.
So we can see if she can pull some strings.
I will say,
send...
one thing I have done is used tampered blood with drugs or other things, and it has actually had an effect on the drink.
Fascinating.
Yes, the Malkavians who tried it were utterly enthralled by it.
Of course, Malkavians. Either way, I will ask William to put the inquiry in, and we will set something up.
Yeah. You can give her my number and pass it along, and we can discuss terms.
Will do.
And she'd give William her number.
And of course, I'll have my driver make the rings as needed and as requested.
Split some of the profits. We can discuss percentages once I have a number.
Oh, the driver, I will just charge. It's something that I split with you. Something else on the side. She has her own people, but I feel like she probably wants to keep them a little bit closer to home.
Well, you know someone who drives the road as much as you do?
Well, they call themselves Cocia. So, yes.
Handy to have one of those in your pocket.
Yes, and just so happens to be a Nosferatu.
One of the last?
Exactly. I would like to keep them safer.
We have quite a few in Atlanta.
A commodity that you don't realize how valuable they are until they're all gone.
I just lost one that was controlling the information in the sprawl, and I had to find another one to replace that. I understand a little bit.
We have this one here and one that I have a meeting with later. To the best of my knowledge, it's those two and the teenager.
Yeah, I met him.
Has William been acting okay around her this whole time after watching her diablerize somebody?
He's kind of keeping a distance.
I thought
But
so.
is trying not to make it obvious.
She won't approach him. She won't make it worse.
Did you
The
want?
Rufus pistol is also still sitting on the stage.
Do you want me to make some now?
We can probably hold on. When he actually pulls out his phone and texts Chris, I need, and just, what flavor would you like?
Whatever you want. I've made tequila, vodka, rum, beer. I've made many different kinds. The amount I can make depends on the alcohol quality.
I need whatever you drink in life.
Me? Are you asking Tori or Chris?
Chris.
Oh boy.
Shows up with a 6-pack of Coors.
I mean,
Just actual liquor. Beer, please.
oh, I didn't drink liquor.
Oh, well, ask T what he drank.
Okay.
Give that.
All right. Need anything else?
Grab a person off the street as well that seems to be pretty out of it. We need fresh
Okay.
blood.
Okay.
I have somebody for you to meet.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll be there as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Did you just tell Chris to come here with a random person?
Who's
Yes.
Chris?
He is a thin blood friend of mine.
Don't take this the wrong way. I promise I don't mean it in a weird way, but he is the polar opposite of you. You'll see what I mean when he gets here.
I mean this would be best of him. He's a humble idiot.
Yeah. Sure. That sounds like the opposite of sure.
He is quite good with baseball bat, though, so
I know a kindred who is quite good with the baseball bat as well. They're very useful.
yours is a little bit smarter than mine, but it's very, very dumb. That's okay because we still care for him.
Someone cares enough about that one to stop him from making bad decisions.
Good.
Or at least he's useful enough to stop that. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to tell with Barney.
Someday I'll have
That's
to
right.
get down there.
I have some Ravnos that you might be interested in meeting if you do.
They tend to not.
Tend to what?
Tend to not. Up until recently, I didn't even meet the Rapdos here, so.
I know the feeling. Dante was the one of the first gangrel I had a real conversation with him. Ooh. We deposed him as a baron. I'll say that.
Hopefully that wasn't nearly as eventful as trying to depose a Sabbat leader.
Yes. He willingly stepped down, I'll say that.
Probably because fear of, well, being forced to.
Yes, I think between me, the Malkavian, the Zemidzi, the Nosferatu, he decided it was a better battle to to avoid.
You mentioned the Znitsi a couple times. And about Arcadia.
Cyril. The name ringing any bells?
I'm trying to figure out what I would have to roll for even the luck of them meeting each other.
Charisma and politics? Or
I think
etiquette?
that. That's 4.
4?
Yes.
I mean, you guys would have been in New York at the same time. You would have to decide how well known the name got around. So maybe you've heard of him. Maybe.
Honestly, with the people that he dealt with, probably would have met him. But let's be honest here. Color side bald.
I mean, he is now. He can change that.
I think I've met him a time or two. He's
Yes.
that's his snare.
Alive after the fire that was put to the warehouse, but still in. He's a white.
Pretty close to being one, but I knew. So
He made that final step.
You just know everyone, Rufus?
He's a
know a lot of
Ravnos who's
people.
very old. Of course he does.
I haven't told you about the Lasandra in Texas that I know. They're if I could get a hold of them, I would have called them up and sort of asked them. Very effective.
In Texas?
Yes, they are very anti-Sabbat. It's great.
Good
I
to
have
know.
not met many Lasombra.
It's both a good and a bad thing.
I've dealt with a few.
Get the feeling you've dealt with a lot.
Yes. And many kindred.
More than suits your tastes, I'm sure.
I don't mind dealing with kindred. They just don't typically like to treat me like I prefer to be treated. Gangrel tend to come with a stereotype.
Maybe they don't tend to treat you like you matter. And that you actually have a brain that works.
Yes.
The old high clan, low clan shit.
It goes strong.
This is where my whole philosophy of treat people with respect until they show that they don't deserve it. Comes in.
Yes, otherwise we would never have been acquaintances for as long as we have been.
To be fair, I actually somewhat took a liking to you.
Feeling is mutual. Turn to William. Are you usually this quiet, or is it me making you uncomfortable?
I usually try not to interrupt people when they're talking. He's kind of gonna flinch away from Tori's gaze a little bit.
You'll avert it. Are you interested in seeing... to Uriel, are you interested in seeing how I do it?
Uriel immediately perks up and leans a little bit closer. I mean, if you're fine showing me, I'd be very interested.
I have very little to lose against this, and much to gain from knowing you. Possibly.
If the offer's on the table, I would gladly accept.
Good, because I have some questions that I don't often get to pose to Tremere. Obviously, it doesn't come naturally to me, and everything I have learned has been hard-won.
I'll certainly answer what I can.
Good. Whenever whoever is coming brings this stuff, we can step into a room and get started on that.
How long does that normally take?
Not extremely long. But I can...
Meantime, Uriel didn't fully tell you the truth. I figured Tori would have a vested interest in speaking with you, see, as A, you are not fully associated with Krit, and B, I knew of minor capabilities that they're capable of. So, figured Tori would have a benefit of knowing you as well.
I will admit I'm far more likely to answer her questions than any of my reluctant associates. Air quotes being used there.
And this is why I tend not to deal with Caravan for me. They are understandably, however, annoyingly secretive.
On that, we most definitely agree.
I also have to give a tour before things tonight. I think I've actually figured out the floor plans of everything.
Oh, okay.
Finally. That we have to do inventory in the library.
Library.
Yes.
We'll have to compare notes.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what I have right now.
Well, if you have doubles of anything, I'll take it.
I am sure I do. We everything that was in a bookstore.
Ah, so you have quite a bit of books.
Yes. Say private collection that my career acquired as well.
You are veritably swimming in them.
There's the private collection that is also something which you donated to.
That's not the one I want. I've had enough of that
Figured as
one.
much. I figured as much. However, still, that one doesn't go into that particular collection.
Fascinating book, but I'll leave the physical collecting to you.
Anyway, we'll send a text to Chris. Just call me when you get here. And
Get a
we'll
thumbs up.
actually take everybody on a tour.
Okay.
Giving the very basic, like, this is where I'm going to put this and that and this and that. It is still dirty. It's still a bit of a wreck, but
A bit.
it's been abandoned for a few years.
I can show you the sprawl when you come to visit. It's not unlike some parts of this place.
I can feel right at home now.
You should.
Perhaps I'll stop in and see if old acquaintance. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to see.
Who, Cyril?
Yes, I'm sure they probably don't know who I am anymore.
Likely not. He doesn't seem to type to remember people that don't matter to him specifically.
Those.
Oh, yes. Oh, the Malkavian name is Johnny. Another Baron. Barney. And then another Nosferatu who has decided to call himself Cornbread.
Cornbread?
I don't really understand why.
I'm sure it was a joke.
Yes, I would assume so. I just didn't get it.
It probably has something to do with Georgia. I don't know.
Don't particularly care. I'll call whoever, whatever they decide to be called. But those are us with myself, the Barons of Atlanta.
Surprised you don't have more. Atlanta's quite large.
Some of us has split our baronies into smaller sections to have people watch over them. I was the first one to do that, I think. Maybe. I know Barney's splitting his, Cyril, I'm not sure what's going on there. And Johnny's just doing his thing.
As Melchidians do.
Yes.
Would you like to go visit ours?
I met one already.
That's he's
Yes, I encountered
Yes.
Ellie already. She infected one of my coterie-mates.
as you've said. Cementation here.
Oh, okay.
Yes. During her small stay in Atlanta when she was meeting the prince. A self-declared prince who was also deposed.
And I believe they were a Toreador.
They were.
Imagine the surprise when Tori met William.
She insulted my clothes.
With a Tremere sheriff.
Yes.
Odd choice for sheriff.
He could throw fireballs.
Less of an odd choice for sheriff.
They hurt.
You don't happen to know what his name was, or their name?
Michael.
The Tremere. Michael.
Michael Lockhart?
Yes.
Lockhart. I'd think about that for a minute.
Dark hair, kind of standoffish, even for a Tremere.
Yes. Very Camarilla down to the bone.
Visited for a little bit a while back. Fit right in. Gave me the.
So your
me a weird
pyramid is Camarilla adjacent?
They try to be. That's why I don't like associating with them.
So don't.
I'm trying to get there.
It's a choice that you're making to go back there.
Good.
Right.
We can change their face. And your name.
What?
We can change your face and your name.
It looked like it hurt, though. I don't.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it definitely does. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it doesn't. However, it's an option.
It is excruciating.
If I did, I'd have to. I don't know if I can just up and disappear.
I'm not going to change your... It is your choice. But that
It's
is your
definitely
choice.
It's definitely something I want to be rid of, but
It sounds like they are in disarray right now. This is probably the best time for you to disappear.
yes, I need to know if they're actively tracking me, though, because I imagine if they are, the facelift is not going to do much to help me.
Have you seen any red glowing gems? Or somewhat glowing gems?
It's entirely possible.
I meant on your person, on your things.
On my person? Would Yuri have noticed any?
I don't know. Give me wits and awareness.
Okay. Four. I haven't seen any.
That's how, as far as I'm aware, the only way they have to track you. Unless you have sired someone, in which case they can probably talk to you.
Oh, no.
Then, as far as I'm aware, That's the only ways.
Is the other option, but it most strictly is about team, however, it is still blood sorcery. Where you gaze upon someone and there is that, I don't know, it's obfuscating, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can gaze upon a reflective surface and see them.
Oh,
I know some Premier can do.
yes, I recently learned how to do that.
So technically speaking, we can also do that, potentially. But
I mean, considering
I think you're meaning auspex, though.
I don't keep up with these things. I know what I can do.
honestly, that's probably for the best. I'll have to think about it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past someone to be able to do that, considering how quote unquote efficiently they've been cleaning up messes directly related to Pyramid.
Right. There's ways to go about. By the way, Rufus, would you mind giving some tips to one of my coterie mates about making masks? You'll be compensated for your time, of course.
Come down sooner rather than later.
It would be appreciated.
I just need some kind of information about 2 or 3 nights, and I will be able to get them on their way.
It would be appreciated. I think they've been looking into it. Or at least I would like them to.
Just as long as they are able to use technology.
It's my Malkavian coterie mate.
She'll shoot a text to Steven. Are you interested in learning how to make identities?
Yep. Did you meet someone?
I do know someone possibly willing to teach you, but it won't be right away.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, sounds like he's interested.
No problem.
I will get the few things that I have to have taken care of here done, and then I will be down. Be a week or 2 maximum.
That works for me. I probably won't be there.
I assume the meeting went well.
Yes, I was able to get some information eventually.
That's at least we got some information.
We'll see how it goes.
Hopefully it goes smoothly, and the general outcome will be positive all the way around.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, Chris is messaging you.
Look at the phone.
It says, "Hey, I'm here."
Get me down. Just be in the auditorium.
Okay,
Word of warning, she's scary.
great. You don't let me meet nice people.
I don't know. I don't know many nice people.
Fine.
It's sad because it's kind of anyway. Turns to the rest of it. Our party favors are here.
Do you have a room set up for blood sorcery?
Kind of asking Ariel.
Not officially, but I think I saw an old science lab around here, maybe? They'll turn questioningly to Rufus.
I believe we've got a couple spaces that would fit quite well. There's one that's actually clean as well.
No, that's a bonus. I don't want to have anything in the drink that doesn't need to be there.
Something tells me that many people around here would be overly picky.
That's why I specified I don't want that. I have a little bit higher standards than that.
That's fair.
Lead on.
Upstairs we go.
Downstairs you go. And Chris is standing there holding a brown wrapped bottle and someone over his shoulder.
Good. We took care of both.
I mean, I kind of found him like this.
I'll take a look at them. Is it somebody that Rufus would know?
Roll a dice. Tell me if you pass or fail.
That is a pass.
You've seen them. They're not part of your herd, but you've seen them.
This one might just be a little bit more potent. They already have alcohol in their blood content.
Ah, well, won't this be an interesting experiment then?
Well, I'm checking to see if they're even still alive.
You don't need to roll for that. They are. They're breathing. They are breathing. And drooling all over the back of Chris's jacket. His windbreaker that when he moves.
Yeah. So get them into one of the clean, open areas.
It is some nice bourbon that Chris has.
It makes me feel a little bit better.
And as you see, he's like, yeah, that's what T told me to use to drink, so I managed to find it.
It's got good taste.
I guess.
I used to drink, they don't sell it.
I honestly don't know if they have what I drank or not, or what I drank or not.
What did you drink?
I have no idea.
Oh, and there's Gregor. Anyway.
Yes.
I was always more of an absinthe person.
I'm honestly not surprised.
Thank you.
And what about you, William?
Pretty much just regular old beer worked for me.
I'm willing to bet that's mostly what I drank.
She'll grab the bottle from Chris, who just kind of like shies away from her.
I have this vision of Chris just like Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. He's going for a subtle flinch and then just completely flubs it.
Chris over to the corner, like, it's okay. She's not going to hurt you.
I happen to like thin bloods.
She says as she grabs the human and shoulders them too. Is he...
See? I'm not the only one that likes thin bloods.
I should put you in touch with some of the thin bloods I know.
To Rufus or to Chris?
To Chris. He just kind of like...
That actually might be a good thing.
Who leads the thin bloods around here?
And they call themselves T. I don't know what T stands for.
Interesting.
They're actually getting a domain.
Oh, good. I have thin bloods watching over probably the largest part of my domain. Barony, whatever you want to call it.
The above.
If it isn't clear by now, I run a large portion of Atlanta as a baron.
To Uriel and William.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Less
It's in a
so
sparkling
now.
area.
I have a lot of coterie mates who are very humanitarian, wanting to clean up the area. And by that I mean about half of them.
Reminds me, how was how's Paul?
Doing well enough, I think.
Last they escaped from has obviously been cleared up.
Yes. In New Orleans, I believe. There might be a trip there at some point.
That one I'm not willing to go.
I barely want to go to that one. She's very old.
The current prince is one of the ones that ran me out of that house.
Ah. How many cities have you been ran out of now? I mean states. Cities, whatever.
Yes.
Cities or states?
Cities. New York, Charleston, New Orleans, San Francisco, Seattle.
I think you added one since I last saw you.
Seattle.
Hmm.
But in my defense, they shouldn't have acted like an idiot. I didn't know who they were. I didn't care, obviously.
While I agree, I'm shocked you aren't dead.
Shipster.
Fair.
Can't hit what you can't track. And when there's 7 of us, you can't track us.
I beg to differ. That's why you just hit them all.
Right. Until you can't, they all run away. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Not an ability I plan on picking up.
It is useful, though.
Oh, no doubt. Shall we go, Uriel?
Absolutely.
And they wander off together. You two first?
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually want to give you and Uriel something. And William's gonna pull out the last Tremere tablet and after Rufus.
Kind of grab it and look at it and be like, this, are you sure?
I think you guys are gonna need it, especially against that scary venture lady.
Something tells me that he'll just deal with it.
So it would hurt him.
You know who that is?
No, I don't.
Have you ever heard of Artemis?
Isn't there a temple out in Greece somewhere about that?
Goddess of the hunt, goddess of night, among other things. And I believe they were actually Roman, not Greek. I don't know. I don't care. It's Yuri's neck of the woods to know the differences. Anyway, the important thing is they are supposed to be a deity of some sort. Or they took on the moniker of it. Either way, it doesn't matter. The fact that he's here is he's right as well. So, fun fact.
Well, hopefully this gets settled before she does too much damage.
And this is going to sound awful, but I hope to get as many people together as we can to stop whatever she's got planned without her actually knowing. That's kind of been the hard part. I assume that you are going to be spending more time at Starlet's now than
Yeah. Well, she needs a lot of help right now.
I assumed as much. I feel also some shit happening. Probably make sure to stay, but I use this loosely, at home.
Hopefully the deal with Tory helps things out a good bit. You know, some people are already saying some stuff about the quality of the blood dipping.
And this is why I decided to at least put the offer out there. I think I've probably got a flask in my van somewhere that I can put a little bit in, take to Starlight when we leave, please.
I'll take care of that.
Worst case scenario, Charlotte says, no. No harm, no foul. No get off of anyone's back. However, I don't believe that that's going to be the case.
If she's hesitant at first, I'll see if I can convince her.
I hope you know that you're always welcome here.
Thank you for that.
feel like we've been through enough stuff that those are not whatever you want to call us. We've got enough mutual trauma.
Yep, that we do.
To solidify at least some sort of mutual bond.
Still been fun working with you.
Don't be a stranger.
Yeah, you'll probably see me around a bit.
Actually head out to the van and grab probably a flask of like the early 20s that he still got. Bring it back. There's just a tin thing. When we get back, at least we've got something to put in. Hand it back to you two.
Okay. So I think part of what Tori has to do for this is empty everything into a bowl of some sort or some sort of container, right? To mix it all. It's not just osmosis through the glass.
Yes.
Do you have a bowl or something here that we can use that's clean? That's larger than this and holds up the bottle?
I'm sure there's something around here.
I'm shocked that you haven't set this up for yourself yet. It's a good space.
Got busy. It is, and it is definitely on my list of things to do now that I am no longer besieged by Sabat every night.
Well, I assume you knew him longer than a week, given he vouched for you.
Yeah. Couple weeks at most, honestly.
Interesting. I'm surprised he vouched for you so quickly then.
I've learned very quickly not to question him when he knows as powerful people as he knows.
Fair enough. Forget how long I've known him, but many years.
Case in point. Let me go see if I can find something.
Okay.
Tori will lay the human down on the table and start getting ready to do that too. And pulls out probably a knife that she has on her or something.
Surely Yuri will be able to find a decently clean container somewhere at some point.
There's probably an old like beaker or something.
Yeah, pretty big beaker.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe like a mixing bowl from the old cafeteria or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Stainless steel.
When Uriel gets back,
You're not particular about mortals, are you? Good.
Nope.
opens the bottle, dumps it in, and does what she needs to do, bleeding the human into it, and then biting open her wrist. Let's see if I get hungry. I do not. Hey. Don't give me that. What do you want me to roll?
We actually have it written down now.
Intelligence and blood sorcery, I believe, correct? 6.
It's going to be good for a good long while.
Yeah. Then Uriel gets to see the whole process. And Tori would actually walk her through it as she's doing them.
Uriel would be absolutely enthralled.
AKA above table, Uriel can buy this now.
I'll put it on the shopping list.
I mean, you don't have to, but it is an option now.
They'd definitely be interested in it at some point.
And let me pull one thing up, because as Tori is doing this, she's going to ask you some questions. So, mainly when she's getting to mixing everything and stabilizing it. Do you know anything about stabilizing Vitae? Prolonging it?
I know a little bit. My sire taught me a little bit, but honestly, it's been many years since I've had to do it, so I've forgotten a lot of it.
I came across some half-learned knowledge of it, and combined with what I know from this, I'm curious if there's a way to fully preserve Vitae, even if it's only your own. That's usually how blood sorcery works. It would be nice to be able to do others, but what do you know? And we can kind of hand wave that conversation, but the talks begin about the Calyx Sescridus, I believe it's pronounced.
However you pronounce it,
So-
yes.
And they start pondering on that. Does Uriel question Tori's knowledge of blood sorcery at all?
They would definitely ask where they picked it up from, but where she picked it up from. But if Tori's gonna shrug them off, then they won't press the issue.
They won't tell. Tori won't tell like specifics about where she learned which one exactly. But
So you've heard the name Gregor, and obviously he is a Tremere. He was the pack leader of the Sabbat pack I was embraced into. And liked to talk while he was doing things. And I remembered some of it and kind of have made my way from there. And then he decided to give me his journal for a while, which I turned into the regent of...
what sort of was it?
Nashville.
Which I turned into the Nashville regent when we had a meeting. You don't know what a gargoyle is, do you? Please tell me no.
See, would that be intelligence and occult?
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty good pool, and Yuri's been around a minute, so let's see what you know.
You still need a good pool of successes.
Yeah, no, only got one success, and I'm not burning willpower on it, so I'm just gonna roll with it. No, I don't think I have.
I'm very glad you don't. Keep it that way. It's a clan created out of Tremere blood sorcery. It is apparently illegal, which was why I was curious if anyone here has gotten their little dirty fingers into it.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't put it past any of them, but from my knowledge, no.
That's what I had to talk to the regent about, because that's what Gregor has been making.
I'll keep an eye out.
Please do, if you hear anything about it. Let me know. Because that likely means he's involved somehow.
Seems like a very dangerous individual, even
Yes.
by, like, Sabat standards.
He is. And I am working very hard to put a stop to him. That was what the favor was.
Ah. Understandable if that's the kind of thing he gets up to.
Is there more liquid than they started with, given how much blood they have added to it, or has it condensed itself into the same amount?
Slightly more.
Still a little bit left. I'll just kind of hand the bowl to Uriel.
Here, would you like a taste?
Sure. And Uriel will try it.
Well, Dengle?
Say again, I believe I'm the only one that actually drinks whiskey here.
Well, that plus whatever effects the compromised blood would have on it, since it's your ability you created.
So it would probably have a bit of a hoppiness to it as well. It would probably just be a malt beverage and or beer type of almost basically.
Yeah. Whatever they can get.
Whatever's cheap. However, the whiskey itself is quite nice, I assume.
Like, Chris had to borrow some money to get it.
Interesting. Definitely taste little hints of whatever was in his system, but it doesn't detract from the nice whiskey.
Fantastic, isn't it?
I admit it's been a very long time since I had anything like this.
Being able to taste without it tasting of ash. Well, let's go see the others.
Back to the other two. With a weird colored bottle of bourbon.
A little bit of a red tint, so it's fine.
A little murky.
Yeah. Good. It'll work soon.
Quite well this time.
So how is it?
Interesting.
I'd also assume that you would at least read it.
Usually creates a little bit more than what fits back in the bottle.
That's a physics thing that even magic can't really fully overcome.
Yeah. Enough to taste, usually.
Good. If you don't mind, I will take just a little bit of that and put it here, and he holds up the flask.
I made it for you and us, so. And if that goes in making the deal that I'm hoping to make, then absolutely. I'll make a second batch if they want.
It's exactly what this is going for. However, in the meantime, I feel like it would be high time to relax.
Would be quite nice. It has been a minute.
It has. And while the scenery isn't necessarily the most beautiful in the world, but it's absolutely great enough that you will be safe enough.
And you should be able to be here too, correct?
I believe it's been over a week, so I think I should be fine.
Good, I'd rather not wake up to you burning.
Doesn't happen every time, but it does happen often enough.
That would be ideal to not have happen, I think.
I actually have to go get some things. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
And he will run upstairs to get the cot that he has. And I'll actually bring it down
Okay.
for people to sit on. He'll get the sleeping bag that's also up there. He'll like bundle that out so people can sit on that. And he'll actually go the mattress out of the van and bring it inside as well.
Once Tori realizes what he's doing, she'll go get her bag as well. Where are we setting this up at?
That is a great question.
What's the answer, Rufus?
In a sun-safe area. So
I would
probably
hope
the media
so.
center upstairs. Probably in the media center upstairs where Lottie's thing was going to go initially.
Interesting setup here.
It's serviceable.
Sure.
Like I said, we're safe. It's quiet. Nobody's supposed to bother us for the most part. We might have a teenage Nosferatu come through with a green squirrel, but
Green
beyond that,
squirrel.
I don't think any it's a thing. Anyway, beyond that, I don't think anybody's going to really bother us. Then we can actually relax for a bit.
That would be nice. Is my being here going to be a problem for you, William?
Nope.
Is he lying?
Manipulation and persuasion?
Subterfuge of fear.
Subterfuge.
Like,
1.
If you say so.
And then that's that. There'd probably be a projector of some sort up here.
Might not be hooked up to anything, but yeah.
Should we put anything on as we start drinking?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the last movie that I saw was Star Wars in theaters.
I haven't really watched anything. Yeah. That I can remember. Haven't cared to or haven't had the time.
So we will defer to the one that's probably most up to date on current events and turns to William. What are we watching?
Oh, I've seen the Highlander.
Want to watch?
I have seen the Highlander. Sorry, William, what did you say?
I think William would find probably a drama to put on.
Oh,
In
of
the
course you
background.
would.
Question is, which one?
Birdman. Well, the first one that came to my mind.
I cannot say that Dengle has seen that. So
Faye has not either.
Heard of it, never seen it.
Pretty good.
Chris is just kind of scooting near William. Who I assume is keeping a distance from Tori.
A little bit. She's
after Rufus,
fairly certain she's not going to eat them, but just in case.
after Rufus realizes what Chris is doing, yes, it's okay. Come sit next to me. It's fine.
Are you sure?
She's not going to hurt you.
She's scary, though.
Yes, but she's not going to hurt you.
If you want me to.
Facts.
He's struggling to do so. But does go and move near Rufus.
My biggest question is, does Rufus actually enjoy the movie? No. But it's okay, because he will lie and say that he does.
I guess Story is at least somewhat interested in it. And more so just like, abject, why am I watching this? I guess they
That's when the
spend...
whole movie goes over. That's when the whole movie goes over Crystal's head.
He's not fully paying attention to it. He's struggling to relax the entire time, but trying his best.
Gets to the end and it's like, Chris, do you have any music that you've been working on? Maybe that'll help you relax.
Not really.
That's unfortunate. You just haven't had time, or
I don't really want to share with what I've been working on right now. It's not ready.
electronic like the last time,
You told me not to do that anymore.
because it's an abomination to man.
But no, and that's why it's not ready, because I don't really know how to do anything else.
I can help you with that.
Really?
I'll play guitar.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I used to know how to play cello.
How to play what?
Cello.
I assume Tori's pretty good into the drink right now.
I don't know what I know how to do. I don't think I played any instruments.
Don't think you know.
I don't know anything beyond being a kindred.
That sucks.
I mean, I don't really know what I'm missing. Scraps here and there, but it's kind of it.
Don't you ever wonder?
I have before.
And she's kind of generally like gives a little toast.
And that's what led me to last night, or the other night. So no. No, I don't anymore.
I wish I didn't know what I did
Well,
in my past lives.
why don't you go forget it all then?
Because the way you forgot, I don't want to.
No one should.
I take it wasn't by your own volition then?
Oh, what's it called? Tabula rasa? You forget everything.
Oh, that's Latin for clean slate. So yeah.
Very accurate. You keep your skills. You know how to do things. Don't know why you know how to do them, though.
Sounds like a handy tool for bot reprogramming.
Oh, yes.
Somebody that just wants to make an army.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to use that on Sabata and them all forget why they are the way they are.
Yeah. Is there a way to make them remember? Sounds like it'd be dangerous if it is.
That I've ever heard of.
So make you remember. Probably not easy.
I don't want to.
If anybody would know, it would probably be the Golconda cult.
Golconda cult?
Yeah.
Still around?
I said Shiloh to them.
What?
You don't know where they are, so it's fine. The Rufus and Liberian city that I know of. Figured I'll get a little bit of kinship out of being with them. How'd that turn out, by the way?
You know, I'm assuming fine. She didn't come back spouting off Golconda bullshit.
So it didn't seem like a soldier, so.
Wait. Hold the fuck up. There's Salubri in the city? I thought they were gone.
No.
Probably what they
Shit.
want you to know.
Well, yeah, from what little I've heard, I can understand it.
They're definitely not numerous. Put it that way. I know, I think 3.
Of course you do. You know everyone.
No, that's 3, period. And the only reason why I know them here is because they may not have had to have a hideout, but I just broke into a random building and they were there.
You know, for Salubri with Shiloh.
I assume you know at least one more.
Met her sire.
Oh, that's fun. How are they?
He was a soul eater, I think.
And how did he get Shiloh out of that?
Captured by the Camarilla.
Keep your eye on him. I'm sure he's probably just waiting for a chance to revert back to his old ways.
Oh, I don't trust him whatsoever. Everything's too convenient there.
Does he?
Hmm?
Does he trust him?
I still couldn't hear you.
Does she trust him?
Oh, of course she does.
Just like he wants her to.
Yep. Apparently he brought a hunter to the city and let him go.
Let's.
So I'm sure we'll be dealing with that at some point too.
See, this is why I know you didn't have a whole lot of say in choosing who you associated with initially, but this is why you choose who you associate with carefully.
They were chosen for me and haven't left.
Exactly. You didn't have a choice for the matter. I'm sure you probably wouldn't deal with everything that you said. You're Malkavian.
Do you think I would associate with the Salubri?
To be fair, I don't know why a Salubri would choose to associate with you either.
Me either. Doc William knows, you might as well know. I eat kindred.
That's funny. I got eaten by a kindred.
Ah, wonderful.
That's the died more than twice.
That makes sense.
I
That
promise
makes
I have
sense.
reasonings behind everything. So yes, now the cat's out of the bag. Having a Salubri near you is probably not the
I don't know why she's still
safest.
around, I'm not gonna lie. Because she knows.
It might just be out of comfort at this point. I don't know.
She keeps coming back. She doesn't go away. None of them go away.
You're probably an asset to them, let's be honest. I can't imagine many kindred at your level are scarier than you.
No, I can't imagine many kindred would go against a prince for a Salubri.
That didn't have ulterior motives.
No, not at all.
You'll have ulterior motives. That's nothing new.
So we know it.
I bet she'll.
Of course I had
bet-
ulterior motives. One, I didn't want a prince there. I did feel bad for her. But
Do you think she might have ulterior motives?
I would hope so. It allowed the rest of the city to be at ease with me.
If she didn't have ulterior motives, I would be very, to be honest with you. She seems nice enough and she seems naive at times. So nice enough.
Hope
And
the
agreeable.
ulterior motive is more than just protection.
That one, maybe not. I don't know. I didn't deal with her enough to really be able to gauge.
Not too sure anymore.
The ones that I have here, which Gary is really the only one that's going to be sticking around because William is no longer going to be, well, available. Charlotte's going to be taking up the majority of this time. I'm sure, Gary, you have other reasons to stick around with me. I know a handful of times, and other times I'm just a rat mouse.
Of course I have my reasons. Why wouldn't I?
A useful
You're a
reference.
liability to everyone you come in contact with.
He is useful, though.
He is.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a liability with everybody I come in contact with. It's not like I got actually my first school on administrative leave. I fired somebody for the first time. By accident, mind you, but it's fine. Because I decided to bring them along to go, of all things, gangrel hunting.
That's a stupid decision.
It was not my smart, but it worked. And they are somewhere out there. They don't want to deal with me a whole lot. I don't really blame them.
What happened? Did the gangrel get the best of you guys? You're not very physically capable.
They were very, very fast.
So he got killed.
Almost.
So you led him to be hunted, killed him, and then turned him?
It was more so. I know you haven't been around me. It's probably a good thing that you haven't been around. If I get hungry enough, I start bleeding from everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And me being me and being hungry and rash decisions, it was like, I wonder if this will work. And just have my hand over and magic.
It's probably a good thing I've never been around you at that point.
Right. It's annoying.
I would imagine. It's quite the waste of vitae.
I have to get new shoes.
The horror.
A pair of your shoes cost $250 because they're special made for you when they're in the design that you wore during life and you're from the 20s. Yes, the horror.
I gave up on...
I was going to say, didn't Lottie help you replace that pair?
Yes, and then the following night I had to get a new pair.
I've given up on anything like that. Kindred can barely stand to be around me now.
This is why you order things online.
I do, which is also why custom fits don't exist for me anymore.
I think you can email people and request custom fits.
That's very expensive.
Well, what do you think I spend most of my donations on?
What a priest you are.
And the priest thing is really just a show to be able to go from place to place without ever being questioned.
How did you get it in your head that that was what you wanted to, how you wanted to go about doing things?
Well, the short and sweet of it, I was in Charleston, South Carolina. That's a land of now bars, but also churches. Very lucrative business out there. And a lot of very old women decide that they want to throw all of their money at the newest, most energetic preacher. That's an actual thing.
You ever met any other traveling preachers while you're at it?
Yes.
Any of
Some
them
that were
hunters?
alive still. A few.
There's a hunter close to Atlanta who says there's a traveling preacher who was coming to visit.
Do you happen to have a name?
The one I know is named White Church.
I don't think he gave us the preacher's name.
I don't believe so either.
Yeah, it was just there is one.
Okay. So, given 2 intelligence and politics, because I feel like that would be the right thing, roll. Probably no white shirts. Probably don't know anybody associated with them. So, that is... I know the name White Church, White House, White, whatever the hell it is. Said a couple names over the years. But it's... I don't know which one specifically. Best I can tell you is become really good friends with Yuzumitsu.
We are at least useful to each other, I think. It's probably the best I'm going to get. I think I intrigue him. I know some secrets, and we have similar tastes.
Something.
Better than being his enemy, which we were at first.
You never be enemies with the old scary Yuzumitsu.
No, I did not know anything about that when Carissa decided to round me and the others up to get something, and then the other barons decided to continue having us work together and go against him, and I decided I'm not going to do that. And now he's a baron.
Please tell me there was some justice there saying that your ex-prince baron, or ex-baron prince, or whatever the situation is the one that he took over her territory.
He did. And the Guru that are to the north of him.
There's food. Oh, speaking of Vincent, Cat's friend, the Guru.
I don't know if I saw him.
Wait, is he the one that was handling the white?
Yes.
That explains so much. Well, a little anyway.
I've had theories for 10 years now.
What are these theories?
Well, I knew that he wasn't mortal. I just didn't know to what extent he wasn't mortal. Until recently, after the whole white incident, Cat apparently got really, really mad at him and beat the crap out of him, and I could smell it.
Never had Guru blood. They don't tend to like us, from what I understand. How is one friends with that old of a Yuzumitsu?
I don't think they're friends.
It's,
Obviously.
a ghouling, as it were.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, a ghouling, a bonding, whatever it is.
I'm sorry, did you say she ghouled a werewolf?
I knew that he was her ghoul, I don't know the circumstances. I wish I did. If I did, I would 100% explain it.
That
But I don't.
sounds awful and fascinating.
Every time you talk about Kat, I am more and more scared of her.
This is why I don't actively mess with her. If I do mess with her, it's with these little things that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. She's never going to see.
Yeah. Speaking of being scared of people, did we ever figure out who that one other, like, really old lady that stabbed Mike was?
Artemis.
Wait, Artemis?
Yes.
Artemis, like, dweller in the hills, whom the woods and dogs delight. You hunt the stag and give earth a store of bounteous fruit to bear. Artemis.
Of course, you would know all of that. Yes, apparently.
Okay.
Or with a burned willpower.
Probably knows well. Would turn to William, but see, I told you they would know.
Anybody times I'm in a history class.
That explains all of the artifacts that
Artemis,
she
like
had.
a Ventru? The Ventru?
Yes.
That explains so
Casino.
much.
The closed casino that I'm sure you probably saw because it's big and gaudy and gold.
I did.
They own it now, I assume.
I'm glad I don't stay here. But that's fine because we have fucking Baron Samedi to deal with.
I don't know which was worse.
And a child of his. A literal child.
Loa. Greek god Loa. I don't know which is worse either.
Many freaking kindred named themselves after gods.
I think it happened the other way around, honestly. If they're as old as they say they are.
Circling back to the whole child thing, is it the one that was on the red list?
What Tory know that?
I believe that would be a politics thing. Or an etiquette thing. With kindred bolt stuff.
I don't have that anymore.
Maybe streetwise. Potentially with kindred bolt out.
I do. Well, I don't have Kindred BS anymore. I have Streetwise Barony and Etiquette Symbolism.
We're just straight up to etiquette at that point.
You'd what?
I would do intelligence and etiquette because I don't think politics quite fits that particular thing.
I might burn another. 3.
I feel like Tori will probably know but not necessarily who's on it.
Never read the red list. Don't really know who's on it.
I used to be friends with somebody that was on it.
Of course you have been.
I haven't been returning my calls, which is annoying.
Geneva? It was something like that. I don't want to, no. She is a terrifying
Geneva.
little child. She was in that prison I had to burn down.
Oh, good.
She escaped, of course, but...
Naturally. It doesn't help that she probably has every discipline under the sun, moon, and stars.
Yeah, terrifying.
I assume that you don't know who that is. 7 or 8 year old little girl that was afflicted with some, I don't know, parents, me, that was the progenitor of the Spooty bloodline, decided that they were going to embrace this little child and then completely neglect them, which drove them power crazy, and then she started deodorizing everything. That's how they died.
Yeah, so did everyone else. I know a Hakaru who's looking into that.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Maybe I can have my Hakata here look into it as well.
Please, by all means.
Hmm?
Yeah, isn't Leon old as hell too?
I think he's as old as me, if not a little bit older.
Definitely not as old as the Baron. The other thing is, I haven't talked to Leon since the battle. I don't know if how happy he is after Quinn poofed.
That's fine. He's a banker in Cappadocia. Yes, there was a kinship there because of the whole Hekata thing, but with the same bloodline, we shouldn't care about each other that much.
I mean, an asset's an asset.
Sure. Which is why I keep all of you, or
A Cappadocian?
Yes,
Yeah.
Cappadocian. That claims himself as Cappadocian.
Oh boy.
He had a really cool knife. Has a really cool knife.
Oh, we have the Giovanni.
And apparently it's a meeting.
I
Yeah,
think I prefer the Cappadocians at this point.
you would. Trust me. Don't
As long
make
as
deals
it's
with
not-
Giovanni.
Don't they like the mafia or something?
Yeah,
Yes.
don't make deals with them. Learn from Beth's mistake.
Don't make deals with necromancers, period. And the Putinesta, don't ever deal with them.
Putinesca, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Another Hakata family.
Mm.
There was quite a few of them before they became Hakata.
Yes. I'm looking to see how many of them we have here.
I don't want to know how many Giovanni I've got up there, or down there, over there, wherever.
I'm
They're
just
all
gonna-
over the place.
We have got an umbrella that we're talking about.
Oh. I was still in the Giovanni.
Sure, I've got a couple here.
I would be shocked if you didn't.
You have a ministry auction house down there.
Do you?
We have one here.
Interesting.
Hey, we're selling a page. It's a very important book.
Ah. So you've expanded your...
I didn't buy it. I lost that bid.
I didn't say you did. It still stands that I assume you expanded your library a little bit.
Hmm?
And how would I go about doing that? I'm physically not imposing.
Because you're a goddamn Ravnos.
At least somebody understands that you don't have to be physically imposing to get what you want.
I would rather not be. I would much rather be able to do some of the things you do.
I would teach you, but I don't want to go through that process. I apologize.
I actually can weight people's minds now a little bit. I can cloud their mind.
Well, that is the positive.
Toreador are useful sometimes.
And they are. And looks at William yet again.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can make people do stuff, though.
I don't know, I would say that making them forget is infinitely more useful.
Made good use of commanding.
That's true, you did get us into the warehouse.
What did I do not too long ago with us?
What?
I don't remember. It was something. Oh, the police situation
Oh, yeah.
that somebody didn't quite handle how I wish they would have. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Being able to tell police, no, I'm not who you're looking for. Them going away is a wonderful thing.
And then you can just forget you saw me.
That's pretty handy.
Trust me, I was in a situation where I very much wish I could have done that.
Actually, what was handled, though, in some way, shape, fashion, or form.
By the Zamitsi and not by the Salubri who told me they would handle it.
Means well, but yeah.
She knows obfuscation and it has began to... She got a little bit addicted to it, I think.
Hides before using other means.
Yes.
I get it.
That sounds like a trauma response.
Does it look like I care?
Never said you did. I was just pointing out the obvious.
When the offer is put out, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then the door opens and they poof. Problem.
Out of curiosity, how exactly did this Macy take care of it?
It involved a police chase. And then a coterie member is now blood bonded to him. It's the Malkavian, if that helps.
Of course, it's about
It helps me because the Malkavian could not make good choices prior to that. And I let it go too long.
So it wasn't necessarily your problem to deal with. I mean, it was, but it also
Everything
wasn't.
that came of it became my problem. Because coterie.
What made them look into your presence in general? I assume it's the Malkavian.
I don't know, actually. I don't know how Carissa found me the first time.
Oh no, say with the whole police chase.
Oh. Yeah, they were... So here's a whole thing. We had a meeting with Krit, like the whole barony and many kindred. There was a meeting with the Krit for a peace treaty kind of thing. And then police were called because Stephen had apparently stolen a cop car. And we thought he took care of it, and he did not.
Next time, make him define taking care of it.
Right. I was a little preoccupied with other things.
I can imagine so if you were meeting with the
I
group of
didn't
werewolves.
think I would have to babysit and a man who is in his, 40s and who's been a kindred for a little bit now. Well, not long, a year or two.
Oh, he's
Yuri.
young. What?
Yuri, when I steal a vehicle, how do I take care of it?
You make sure it gets actually taken care of.
Rufus,
Yes, I
you're
destroy it.
a couple 100 years old, at least, I think.
About 100.
Whatever.
But still, you need to destroy it beyond recognition, and people cannot tell that you were
Right.
there, or you dump it in the river.
He was still like 40 something before he was turned. I imagined that he had common sense. Obviously, I was very wrong on this, but that's where the bonding to Cyril came from.
In the meantime, I teach him how to make masks, so that will instill some common sense into him.
Well, good luck, but he's been doing fine since.
So the bond is restricted.
I
And
believe
if it's not, I'm
the order
surprised.
was don't make bad decisions.
No, so good blanket statement.
Yes.
Okay. You know how long he's got left on the bond?
I don't actually know if it's being renewed or not. I would imagine it is, but I'm keeping an eye out.
Do you ever wonder if your Cyril
drink.
friend is using the bond to spy on you?
I would be shocked if he didn't.
At least you know.
Yes. If I really need to, he took one of my dogs so I can talk to them about it, about his things.
Oh, you can talk to animals?
Yes, and he can't.
Big grill.
Yeah,
This is one of those stereotypical gay girl things that actually do.
I try not to assume. You said
It was one of the first things I learned.
it's
The
Seems
Sabbat used
handy.
my knowledge of animals. I was a veterinarian, and so it just was easiest.
it seems like a handy ability to have. Animals can see a lot of things that other people miss.
Oh, poor Lulu. Yes, they can.
Lulu?
The Toreador killed her. We were using a rat to spy on a Toreador.
I'm
I
sure
don't understand. I don't understand the whole obsession with animals. I understand the companionship behind it. I understand the protection aspect, but I just can't.
I don't know. Apparently something drew me to them when I was alive. I have so many years of veterinary knowledge in my head. And I just keep dogs now.
You ever think of expanding?
What? Chickens? Ravens?
Oh, yeah.
Birds?
Wild dogs, big cats, vicious things.
Oh,
Get
you
a
never
bear.
met Blitz. My dog's dog that died, one of them, Blitz, was like 200 pounds. I only deal with big dogs.
Big. You mean big dogs?
Yes.
Giant dogs, yes.
Like, might as well be a bear at that point, dogs.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
Not just a little smaller, but she looks like a wolf.
I think about that one.
No, you met Raina. You won't meet her again.
That's unfortunate.
It is.
Unfortunately, things that aren't just die easily.
Don't worry, Blitz will be back.
Right.
I want to ask, but something tells me you wouldn't want to tell me.
Drew's pretty strong.
You do realize it's not necessarily how that works, though, right?
What?
Typically speaking, unless if you have exterior circumstances to be able to transfer souls and do things that are dead stay dead.
Don't worry about it.
If you do figure out how to transfer souls and other things, let me know so I can.
I don't think it'll work the same way that you want it to work.
I guarantee it won't.
Do you think King might have a book? I think King might have something about it in his stash that we nabbed.
It's upstairs if I do.
King?
Yes, the Nosferatu that died.
One of the many.
He was the main. He was like the hub of the information network. Ran a bookstore.
Interesting cover.
Real handy person to know. I miss him. And Mike. Mike was cool.
You sound attached to them.
Mildly.
I said Mike a few times.
How old are you?
I was raised in 79, so I think I'm 60 something.
It's a long time, and you still hold attachments?
They keep us grounded. It keeps us from the beast from taking over too much.
Yes, they certainly do.
Also, I consider myself a people person.
Don't think I ever was.
Well, that explains why he's a Tremere. Or not a Tremere. I'm sorry, Toreador. Must be getting tired.
And what's your art?
I was a singer.
Why don't you sing something then?
Yeah, some Bee Gees, please.
No.
Why not?
I'll sing something else, though. I don't like disco.
I don't really care what it is.
So, charisma and performance.
Oh, you mean you're not gonna sing for us then?
We don't want to hear that sing.
You ever hear a kitten hiss? That's what it sounds like. I'm bringing willpower because William can do better than that. Six.
That's a pretty good one. So you built out a lovely song.
Well, I can at least see why they embraced you.
Also because I was the only one in my band who wasn't wasted that night.
I'm sorry, what?
We were performing a show. I was the only one who did well enough. Everyone else got really drunk or high on other stuff and did not do a good job.
Ah. And so you were the only one that impressed your sire.
Both good and bad.
How long did he keep you beforehand?
Uh, 21 years?
I assume not good years.
He's very strict.
Did you kill him?
Nope, still alive.
Why not?
Don't like him, but I don't like him that much to try and rush into that.
Treat him better if you ever sire somebody. That
Fair
goes
enough.
to you too, Rufus.
I am doing what I can.
Don't be like the assholes who sired us.
Congratulations, we've made it to Houston. Bye.
He dumped you in
Okay.
Houston?
After a week of me driving.
That sucks. Houston's a terrible place to be dumped, even as a mortal.
Well, this is mid-20s, so it's not as bad as it at home, but it's still bad.
Stand by what I said.
I only found out who sired me afterwards. After crawling my way out of the pit.
They were very, very happy to see you crawl out, were they?
Oh, I was almost killed right then and there. Almost. I was too useful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Being able
That's-
to walk in the sun does that.
that's Chris on the back.
Chris just stares at her like, what?
We don't all keep people around that can do that for that reason. Some of us actually like the people that we keep around. Chris can do much the same. That has actually gotten me out of quite a few jams, doesn't it? I really should start paying him.
From where he is, like, oh, what do you mean you could walk in the sun?
Wasn't always a full-blooded kindred is what I mean.
It's the offer that I gave beforehand.
Oh.
It's fun times. It's messy, but it's fun.
Or just kind of staring into her drink now.
But it's okay because we have grown since then,
So much.
and we have learned to embrace who we are. And what we are. That's the important part.
Gangrel, but not a gangrel.
I was
Makes
supposed
sense
to be a Zamitzi.
Which is why you were able to talk to Kat.
Yep.
Well, that's ambitious.
That's why I needed
Yes.
to talk to Kat. Needed to get some information.
That makes a little more sense now.
She apparently knew of my sire, didn't know him, but knew of him.
I assume that's probably not a good thing that she knew of, and not specifically.
I didn't
him.
question it much. But it is what it is. I got what I needed. I
That's all
guess
that matters.
Gregor decided I was to be a gangrel.
It makes me like him even less.
I have such plans for him.
I hope they are absolutely diabolical and cause him as much pain as physically possible.
Oh, they embrace what I should have been.
An old woman that died in her bed.
Zimitzi.
Really, none of us should have been embraced, but it's fine. I think the only one that had any grounds for, well, I don't know, Yuri's circumstances, however. William, I think you're the only one that actually fit the bill that I know of typical embraces.
I don't know, Rufus. Yours is pretty typical of Ravnos, from what I understand.
And not just I'm going to do this because why not? Yuri, I'm sure yours was probably like that as well.
Mine was pretty a little more on the standard side for Tremere. I mean, like I actually knew my sire growing up, like as a mortal. He was a longtime family friend, and I was kind of, I don't want to say gifted this because it's kind of become more of a curse than it's worth, but yeah, got my PhD and got a job, moved out here. Hey, good to see you again. How about you join me in the realm of the undead?
And you said okay.
He offered me insight into knowledge beyond anything I had ever been able to have access to before.
So you chose this.
In a manner of speaking.
I think you're one of the few kindred I know who decided to actually choose it.
I got picked up on my way home from my job. But they come here for.
I can only assume that's what happened to me as well. But I don't know. Or I was out that night. Who knows?
If your current situation, current mannerisms, or anything like that you were in, well, if you were probably out on an emergency veterinary call and were driving back to the office and picked up on the side of the road because why not? That makes sense.
Good as explanation as any.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I guess that's the good thing about not knowing for sure. You can make up a new story every time someone asks.
You can do that anyway.
No one asks. I guess I'm
And
a
if
little
they
too
do-
intimidating for that.
And if they do ask, still make something up. You can go on. Make up a new name, make up a new whatever you want. You don't have to be who you used to be.
Be who you want to be.
Exactly. Be who you are inside, whether that changes or not.
We're stuck like this for eternity. You might as well be happy with it. Well,
Exactly.
however long our eternity is.
Yes. Just enjoy yourself. It sucks. It's never going to get any better. Have fun with it. That's why I do half of the stuff I do. You think I don't know. Some of it, yes, is because I'm a rat roast and I'm reckless and I do stupid impulsive things. But some of it is a willful, let's see what happens. At a certain point, being alive for a certain amount of time, things are just boring. I'm not quite to that point yet, but I'm getting there. So before you get there, have your fun.
And that's why I approached you in the first place. I was getting bored and I'd heard things about your little up and coming church and got curious. And here I am.
I've been trying to hide for so long that I stopped doing things that I enjoyed and just did what was expected, or what I thought was expected. Who's going to look twice at the typical gangrel who is bumming around the bad part of the city?
Bet your little salubri friend would say much the same.
Don't know, people always look for salubri, so.
You couldn't sell them for as much as they go for. People would stop looking. And you know how to reduce the prices of salubri.
By making more.
Exactly. Increase the supply, makes the demand equal to the supply, therefore drives down the cost.
Well, most people frown upon random embraces.
Exactly.
Doesn't stop certain Malkavian from doing it, though.
Because, of course, it's always about Canyon.
He created a thin blood of all things.
At least it ends there.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
I don't actually think he knows about diablerie. It's not been something I've taught him.
It's probably for the best.
I don't intend to.
Do you think... I don't know a whole much about Malkavian things, but do you think demontation can be passed down through a bloodline?
Who knows?
I'm willing to say yes. We can call Ellie.
I'll let you know if Ace starts to develop any demontation qualities.
If he ever decides to diablerize someone, make sure it's something that's absolutely diametrically opposed to demontation.
So practically anything.
Like La Sombra.
I don't think he'll be eating any of the La Sombra that we know.
Ricotta or something that...
I would rather him not eat amp. He's too useful. And he's the only Hikata we know.
Could always feed him a Sabat leftover, I suppose.
We're trying to make sure that they can somewhat integrate into the baronies.
I don't think. Have we
The ones who can't are
Rufus,
being dealt with.
Rufus, you've dealt more with those things than I think the rest of the coterie has. Have we had any successful integrations from the Sabbat?
I mean,
this past round of nonsense.
I haven't been to the city, no, to be honest with you. But I would assume that somebody has done something. If I find any in, well, this domain, I'll give them the option. Or they will face the mighty wrath of Zep and Blood. I contract some of the mortals to take care of some issues. Pay them enough money, they'll just do whatever you want.
Wonder if Zep's ever going to be interested in being more.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We're still hundreds of miles away from it.
I'm sure.
Another thin blood of yours?
Oh, this one's on payroll.
Ah.
Bodyguard. Like I
Wait,
said,
you mean you're paying somebody?
He can shoot people.
I can hit him with a bat.
I didn't know that until just the other day. Then you are kind of on payroll. Just not monetary payroll.
I guess.
I feel like I should mentor you in a decent way. Try to make things easier for you.
Oh, so you adopted a child.
Hey, I'm not a kid.
And sort of. How old are you? 22, 23?
Yeah, 22.
And you were embraced less than a year ago, so you're still technically 22. You're a kid.
We'll kind of start pouting.
See, again, kind of a kid.
Dude, I don't even remember what I was doing at 22. Probably college something.
I remember exactly what I was doing at 22.
Driving?
No, actually. Selling rugs.
That sounds awfully tedious.
It was the early 20s.
I still stand by saying that sounds awfully tedious.
I actually didn't drive at that point.
Interesting. Somehow I can't really picture you not driving.
The trolley system was great. And then I started to actually make money, and then I got my first Model T. And then the rest was actually legitimate history.
Yeah. Well then. Any other secrets we want to share? Well, we have alcohol to blame.
Let's see here. Secrets that I want to share, but I don't know if I will.
Well, if you want to, then why not?
Because I don't have a good enough argument to share them. However, I will, because I know the person that would want to hear them. Gary, if you give me a good enough argument to share them, I will 100% share them.
What?
The secrets that I have.
Oh, the secrets they have. Shoot. A good enough argument? I highly doubt trust building exercise would hold much water with you. I mean,
Yes, this is not a trust fall. This is a potentially harmful secret.
oh shoot, I'm not gonna try and persuade you into doing something stupid like that. You're ravnos enough to either do it on your own or not.
It's fair. The gist of it is the pamphlets that I handed out to the thin bloods that have the Book of Not information that have seen it before in Toronto.
You saw the Bug of Not in Toronto?
Part of it, yes.
No shit, is it still there?
Probably it was, I think, one of the Black Hand headquarters.
Oh.
You actually were at one of those?
Like I said,
I thought you were joking about that.
I traveled with a person that was on the red list. I didn't realize it until 24 years after the fact.
Are they still around?
Like I said, they haven't been returning my calls or emails, so.
How many pieces do you have?
Have? That's for me to know. You can find out.
Oh, come
Wait,
on.
you have some?
No, I'll never actually have any. I'm not rich enough, powerful enough.
Well, if you do come across any, you should totally get me some copies.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm helping you. And I'm sure we could work out other arrangements. Now that I know how to make blood alcohol!
Right. But seeing as if I had them, that'd be potentially dangerous for my well-being. Why would I tell other people I had them?
I don't have to say I got them from you. They could just mysteriously appear on my doorstep.
Just, handwritten pamphlets doesn't just scream me, right?
You and those fucking pamphlets.
They are antiquated, they're outdated, they are a sign of the past. However, they are very much a brand. And
It's definitely you.
And it's surprisingly effective. Have you seen how big his gatherings get?
How would I have seen that? No.
I don't know what your guys' history entails, so.
Not really that.
I think the most recent large one that we had was 50, 60, somewhere there. That's not including kindred that showed up as well. I did marriages.
You did.
You did.
You married people?
Yes.
It was very interesting to watch.
It wasn't legally binding because I didn't have a marriage license, but, spiritually made them feel better.
You were an effective spiritual counsel.
Yes.
Interesting. Fascinating that they chose you for that.
You don't have a whole lot of options. It's not like the people that I do service have a whole lot of money and places to go. But the good thing is the donations that I get don't come from them. They come from people that, oh, they're homeless people here. So it's kind of like Robin Hooding, but not quite.
Mm.
Makes me feel less bad about it.
Religion is the opiate of the masses, after all.
Yes. And when you don't have a whole lot of hope, it's, you know, it's not better. Except for the one police officer. I'm still not fully sure why she's stuck around.
You should ask her.
Something tells me that I'm going to have plenty of time to ask her.
Really?
She has helped me out enough. And turns out there's hunters in the city that we need to figure out who they are so she get our names out of there.
Wait, didn't you guys have problems with hunters earlier?
Yes, the whole initial Nosferatu disappearances.
So do we need to like retrace some steps or something?
Let me do my investigation before we decide to go alert the entire city. I very, 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 very much dislike the fact that I'm known by anyone that isn't us. And if I can take care of it at a more local level, that's probably the more strategic way to do it.
Well, above table, I think our kindred may be starting to feel the pull of the day sleep upon them.
Right.
It is well past our usual stopping time. It's up to you guys. Do you want to continue or?
I need to end it here because it's almost 1 a.m. and I have work.
Correct.
I'm gonna be in by like 8, so there's probably
Me too.
as well.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, everybody, as our kindred fall into their day sleep mid-conversation.
Yes. So, I will do the end game announcements. Like they said, thanks for joining us. If you are still with us at this point in time, thank you for being here with us on Twitch. If you're not, you're seeing us at any of the other locations, you can search through all of our things to find the link tree that's there, to find us at all the other locations and find us on Twitch. Join us Tuesdays and Saturdays going forward, because we are doing a little bit of scheduling. Be able to find us on Twitch, find us on YouTube, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, bunch of other places. I don't have them just offhand, and I don't feel particularly great because of allergies, so I'm not thinking clearly. However, we also do have Patreon if you feel like that you can donate to us in a financial manner instead of just a timely manner. We would appreciate it. This is free for you to listen to. It's always going to be free. Part of the years of World of Darkness term. So service, but even if beyond that, we don't charge for you guys to see this. However, it's not necessarily fully free to make. So if you can support us in the financial matter, then great. If you can't, that's fine too. Just help us get to the point where like Twitch pays us or YouTube pays us, that'd be great too. By doing so, you have to do the whole liking, share, and following, and subscribing. Get the parents, mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, doctor, and veterinarians to also do so. That'd be great. Also, leaving comments for any constructive criticism and or feedback would be great. And then finally, if you look on the link tree, there's also a link to our Discord server, which we would greatly appreciate it if you join that, as well as our link to dicing.com. If you use that link, it gets you a certain percentage off. You get part of the money that you spend. They have everything from dice boxes, keychains, stickers, and something like that. So, if any of those sound anywhere near good to you, go there, buy some stuff. You'll like it. We'll be grateful, and everybody will be happy at the end of that. So, with that, we appreciate you being here. I don't know if we're doing any post-game talks. I don't think we are. Don't feel like we really need to today. So the answer wasn't actually play, just a lot of RP. So I want to say, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening to us. No post games this time. So everyone have a good night, or day, or morning, whatever it is for you at your local time. But still, have a good whatever it is.
Have a good one. Farewell.
Adios.
Right.